Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Podcast. Today is Wednesday, August 30th. We're coming to the end of the summer. This weekend, officially, ladies and gentlemen, is the start of the end of the summer. How do you like that? With us, we have on our show, produced by Roberto Beauchene. He's the producer, director of the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show and podcast. Our first panelist, the lovely, the talented, the Google of the office, Lisa Lawson. Hi, Lisa.
Morning, everybody.
Also, we have on the banks, from the banks of the Red Cedar River, Mr. John Cole. Good morning, John.
Good morning, everyone. Go green.
Go white. And the host of the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate and Business Show in our 23rd year, every Saturday morning, heard 97.1 FM from 9 to 10, Mr. Harvey Freed. Good morning, Harvey.
Good morning, everybody.
Why am I in such a good mood, panel? I'm in a good mood because business is strong and steady. The real estate market is hot. We're going to get into that. No stopping this hot real estate market. Mortgage applications actually rose for the first time in 5 weeks. But before that, everybody, let's talk about Lisa Lawson. What are you going to do this last weekend, holiday weekend of the summer of 2023? Labor Day weekend is upon us.
Yes, I'm going to relax. I'm actually not going anywhere. I'm just going to chill at home, relax, maybe get a couple projects done around the house, maybe do some hiking, Stony Creek, and just enjoy the week. It's supposed to be super hot, so maybe swimming, but doing a whole lot of just chilling.
Well, good. That sounds great. Mr. John Kolb, you, my friend, are you going up north? What are we doing?
Oh, yeah, heading up north. And last weekend that the family's in town. So go up there and spend some family time before they take off for another year.
That's wonderful. And always a good time when the Kolbs come in town. They get to go up north, spend a lot of quality time. Mr. Harvey Freed, I know, Harvey, you're going to be on a lake somewhere in southeastern Michigan, right?
Either on a kayak, a pontoon, or a power boat. But I also have some painting to do. And I pulled out the primer and the thick white paint. We're going to paint all the trim and do some little fall project here, even though it's going to be 95 degrees or whatever.
There you go. We have a lot of family functions for my part. We have a lot of family functions this weekend. Got family flying in from all over the country. Going to spend a little time together and see one of my nieces get married. That'll be a lot of fun. So that's about what I've got going on. But anyways, okay, let's move right into it. Lisa Lawson, no stopping the real estate market here in southeastern Michigan. I know nationally, we talk about national. We've got people listening all around the country and for that matter, all around the world. The however is that the real estate market in southeastern Michigan is going crazy. Nationally, home prices rose again for the fifth straight month. Panel, let's talk about it. I had an example I'm going to share with you. First-time home buyer, very, very excited. First offer accepted and still going strong. Lisa, market's hot right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of misinformation out there, so you obviously need to deal with somebody who's experienced and understands what's happening. But the market is definitely hot, especially if you're working with an agent who understands what their local market is, because there are some nuances depending on where you're buying. Some places are hotter than others. Some places you can easily get concessions. But, dealing with someone who's tuned in to like what I call micro markets, right? Like where these smaller kind of individual subsets makes all the difference in the world. But yeah, the market is definitely hot.
Yeah, Lisa's right, John, because, you and I've talked about it. There are certain price points in certain markets that are very, very strong. That are others that we might consider slower. Well, it's all going to depend, as it usually comes down to, what's the price of the house? What are people looking at, John?
Yeah, I mean, they want something that's move-in ready. They don't want to move into something, get something that is, a fixer-upper for the most part. So, I mean, the houses that are there and ready and in great shape, ready to move in, are flying off the market still. And, we're still seeing a lot of activity, a lot of pre-approvals out there. But, finding those gems in the rough are what's the hard part, I think.
Yeah. Hey, Harvey, you're getting a lot of calls. People are talking to you a lot about what's going on in the market. You're seeing a lot of purchase agreements. What are you seeing out there right now for you?
Well, we were second place on one of my pre-approved buyers was second place in a moderate priced home here in Southeast Michigan, $255 list price. House goes over asking. And one of the things that what the response says, you are second in line. You guys made a great offer. The offer they took was giving 90 days of free occupancy. Well, as we both know, that you have to occupy that house within 60 days. So that was sort of interesting that they put that in writing that said they were actually taking a day and sort of having the buyers might need to know that they need to occupy that property definitely in 60 days. Otherwise, they might be bordering on some sort of a fraud there. So there are some intricacies on an offer that the real estate agents have to understand that at highest and best might be the best offer, but there's some other things that come along with it, like this occupancy part. And again, the competition is just fierce for any home out there.
Well, Harvey, I think occupancy is a big thing. What Harvey's referring to, everybody, it says you have to occupy the property within 60 days, okay? The bottom line is this, Harv, and John and Lisa and everybody listening out there, that, you can sign your name and say you're going to do something. Things happen. It is what it is. As long as they make the payments on it, they make the payments. And that's the harsh reality of it. And I know there are a lot of realtors out there, a lot of mortgage people out there saying, hey, you know what, if you can give somebody longer occupancy so maybe they can stay there while they're looking for a house, we know what goes on. I mean, I don't really have any qualms about that. I know what the letter of the rule is. Absolutely. Okay. But you know what? You're going to go by that, Harvey. If you're in a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit zone and you go 21 miles an hour, okay, technically you're breaking the law, right? But, okay. I mean, look, we can go in a lot of different directions there. Yeah, the bottom line is this. People are buying homes. They're getting offers accepted. It's not a one-size-fits-all market. There are going to be exceptions to every offer. There might be a concession. There might be a contingency. There might be things getting waived. That's why, as Lisa said on the onset, you need to work with an experienced team that's going to go ahead and maneuver in those waters. Also, had another buyer that closed last week. And this weekend, what do you think, panel, they're going to be doing? Paint up, clean up, fix up time. That's exactly what they're going to be doing. And they can't wait. They want to scrape and paint, get the carpet in. It's very exciting, Lisa, when first-time home buyers go in. They've got all these projects that they're doing together, that they're maybe hiring out. They're going to be there. They're hanging out at their new home. It might be empty this weekend, but it's theirs, and they're getting it ready because of the extended time, and they're very excited about it.
Yeah, I remember when John and I bought our first house, we stayed up the first night and painted the laundry room, before the washers and dryers got delivered. Like, you do all these things you're super excited about. You get to put your stamp on it and make it yours and make it exactly what you want. So, it's one of the most exciting times in people's lives. It's one of the biggest purchases in people's lives, and they should make it unique to them and make it work for them. So, whether you're a first-time home buyer or this is your 10th house, it doesn't really matter. It's always an exciting time.
Yeah, we love that. And John, you've gone through this with so many people. And I remember when you bought your house, you've been in your house a long time now. You're undergoing the second and third wave of the renovation process. And, the first time is always the most fun. The second, third time, not as much. Right, John?
I was going to say the same thing. I said scraping and painting is all fun and games for the first 30 minutes. And then after that, it's just a chore. Yeah.
Hey, even I've done it. Yes, even I've done it.
I don't believe that, Harry. I don't believe that.
All right.
So
there you go. Let's make a phone call. I didn't say I finished it. I started it.
You pulled one staple out of a carpet. I know. But yeah, it's a lot of work. You got to know what you're doing. You got to have the time to be able to commit to it. But like you said, it's once you buy that first home and you're all excited to get it started, you got to save some money here and there. So you got to figure out how to do it on your own. And you just can't call the guy, like Harry likes to call.
Call the guy, 1-800 the guy. Anyway, so Harvey, I know Harvey's done a lot of projects around the house, and that leads me into the next subject. Mortgage applications actually rose last week, panel, for the first time in 5 weeks. It was led by refinance activity, up 3% from the week before. Panel. Finally, I think consumers finally figured it out, right? Rates are rates. It doesn't matter. And Harvey, if you've got credit card debt to pay off at 20 and 22%, 7.5%, 8.5. Not a bad rate compared to 22, right?
Yeah, your equity in your house has gone up again. We see a little bit of setback, I guess, in 2022. Not here, and it all depends regionally where you're at, but home values are up again. The average U.S. homeowner might have over $200,000 in home equity. Tapping into that equity to consolidate debt and do the right thing financially makes a lot of sense. Again, you don't always have to go back and get another 30-year mortgage. You could refinance, consolidate all your debt, and do a 20-year. And at the end of the day, maybe knock 4, 5, 8 years off your current mortgage term. And I think it's so important just to really crunch those numbers. And every family needs to sit down and do the right thing for themselves, but get educated on what the numbers truly are.
But that leads you to believe, Harvey Freed, John Kolb, and Lisa Lawson, that, again, you have to sit down with that experienced professional because, again, you don't want to use your house as a piggy bank. But if your home is appreciated and you can take a little segment, a little tranche of that appreciation and throw it down on your credit card debt, Lisa Lawson, talk me out of it. Why does that make so much sense to me?
Like I said, it's really individualistic for every single person. I wouldn't suggest taking like $2,000 or $3,000 to pay off a credit card and cashing that out because that might not make financial sense. It's really dependent on your specific situation. So I think that's super important, that you sit with a loan officer. It's going to crunch all the numbers for you. Often what I tell people is if you look at your credit card statements, like if you pay the minimum, depending on your balance, they'll say, oh, this will be paid off in like 18 years. That's crazy. So if you're going to roll that in and maybe do a refinance, it's 20 years at a lower rate where you can actually write off that interest on your taxes possibly, depending on your tax prep guy. That would make way more sense if you're only paying the minimums anyway. Now, if you're somebody who pays it off in like 2 or 3 months, then maybe it doesn't make sense. But this is why you have to have real conversations with experienced people who have your best interest at heart and are going to tell you the real facts.
Yeah, and I think people appreciate that, Lisa, Harvey, and John. And John, I had a financial planner. I've known him for a very long time. He called me up and he said, I have a client. She's an elderly woman and she's moving from her house that she's lived in. It's free and clear, and she's looking at a condo. Okay, that's a solid move because she won't have to take care of the house. Problem is, she's got a house that's paid off. She's got all the equity in the house, and she doesn't want to go into her asset accounts and have to withdraw where she's going to have to pay taxes on it, right? So what do? Well, I suggested, John, that I said, is her house up for sale? I looked up the house. It's a beautiful house in Troy, great neighborhood. It's going to sell because there aren't a lot of homes up for sale in that neighborhood. I said, why don't you do this? Why don't you go ahead and have her contact a realtor? She has a realtor that's a friend, list the house and see how many offers they get within a certain period of time. And maybe she could sell her house right away. Okay. And then work on some kind of occupancy agreement after that. But again, not a one size fits all in that situation, John.
Yeah, I mean, every situation is different. I mean, but I like the idea there, Harry, that get that house up on the market. It might sell right away, and maybe she can do some sort of short interim loan from her assets where there are no taxes or penalties paid if she pays it back in the 60-day period of time, so that everybody wins. As we always say, it's about talking to your team, making sure that you are all communicating and working together. In that instance, I think financial advisor, mortgage lender, realtor, everybody involved is going to be the best people to talk to make the best decisions.
Yeah, John, that's great advice. And that's exactly what the financial planner I talked about. Get it on the market. See if she has any offers. The 60-day period of time, she's got a window where she won't get taxed. And the financial planner said to me, he says, I like that idea. Exactly what you said, John. He said, I like that idea. That's solid advice. And one thing, everybody out there, this is a Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Podcast brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding, powered by Fair Independent Mortgage Corporation, Equal Housing Lender 2289 is our MLS number, is that we give solid advice. It might not be something that somebody wants to hear at that time, but we're never going to stray away from giving solid advice. Say that 10 times fast. Harvey Freed, more fun facts for you, Harv. You're the fun guy today. I got more fun facts. Purchases rose 2% as well in the week. So it was led 5%, right? 5% increase in mortgage applications from last week to the week before. You ready? 3% was refis, 2% was purchases. Loan sizes increased nationally to $367,000, up 5K. Not here, though. That's a national average. But the most fun fact of all, Harvey, ARM rates for those that inquire about ARMs. Oh, I got to get an ARM. Rates are going up. I got to get an ARM. I got to get an ARM. Of the entire mortgage market in the United States, ARMs represented only 7.5% of 100%, which means fixed is the way to go. 92.5% of all rates are fixed. Now, where are ARMs prevalent? East Coast, West Coast, the prices are higher. Here in the Midwest, it's only a solid choice to go with a fix. Harvey, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, it's interesting to think that some families will go down that path. Adjustable rate mortgages used to have a wider spread between the fixed rates and that. And of course, the risk that would be taken is that if you keep the loan for a 5-year term or a 7-year term, that the new rate that was based on the old-fashioned LIBOR, the adjustment, the index that was used, would have your rate a lot higher than the current marketplace. I think it's a great strategy, but we just don't see a large enough spread on it. And Harry, we might be including those facts. I think are even a little high to think that 6 or 7% of the mortgages were ARMs. I have a strange feeling that they might have been including some home equity loans in there and some other type of mortgage financing. But even if not, we're seeing that surge at the end of summer where, again, home purchases picked up 2% a little bit, more mortgages were closing, and a lot of families now tapping into that equity and doing that cash out refinance.
Yeah, I love that. Love the solid advice. Lisa, we pride ourselves on giving solid advice, but I'm going to go to final thoughts right now. Final thoughts for today. Fall is in the air. It's 65 degrees here in Michigan. I know it's going to be 90 because it always changes like that, right? But, waking up, taking the dog for a walk, freezing cold. It was in the 50s this morning. Lisa, where do you see the purchase market for, let's come September, October? Let's just go out 60 days. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, for me, September and October, historically, October is one of my busiest months for closing. And I've been in this business for a long time now. And I know other people say that's so strange. I think it's people who had too much fun over the summer, said they wanted to buy, didn't want to get caught up in that crazy summer rush like people do. And all of a sudden they find the perfect house like right now. And so they're closing next month. And same for October. So I think it's always advantageous. When is the perfect time to buy? When you find the house that you want. I don't think there's a perfect month. There's not a perfect time of year. It's when you find the house that fits your needs and you like it. And then that's the time, so I don't think that it really matters. But historically fall's been always busy for me. And I hope it's busy for everybody else.
Yeah, we appreciate that. John, fall's in the air. And as I say, it's 65 degrees out here in Michigan. It's going up to 90, 95 this weekend. As soon as I said that, John Kolb.
Of course it is. You're always the guy that's going to make things turn the other way. Now, if you could just make the Fed turn the other way from their decisions on increasing rates because they can't seem to get their heads out of there, but we're going to start to see some rates fall. Hopefully sometime next year and really open up this market. But in the interim, house prices are still really good. If you wait, you're just going to pay more next year. So get on the ball now.
I appreciate that. Harvey, final thoughts. Fall's in the air, 65 degrees in Michigan. Again, thoughts for the day, Harvey Freed. Where do you see your purchase market in the next 60 days?
Well, I did talk to some younger couple this morning, and sure enough, it was a situation where she's moving in with a boyfriend. The lease is up in December, and they sort of had that idea through the conversation that they were going to rent again for another year. So it's really getting these families that are going to stay here in their area, whether you're living in Colorado or Florida or Texas or even here in Michigan. You have to sit down and look at the cost of renting and then look at the cost of home ownership, because even if it's a shorter 2, 3, 4 years that you might keep this house, the appreciation is so strong here now that it's probably a better play to become a homeowner than continuously rent again. So more and more families, we're urging them just to sit down. There's no obligation. Deal with companies like Capital Mortgage, Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, no hostage money. Find out, get the knowledge behind you, get some more confidence behind you, and maybe we could turn you into a homeowner in the next few months.
Listen, everybody out there, this has been the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Podcast, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding, powered by Fair Independent Mortgage Corporation, and Equal Housing Lender. 2289 is our MLS number. Now, before we sign off, I want to thank everybody for the panel, Lisa, John, Harvey for being on the podcast this morning, everybody for listening. B, I want everybody to have a safe and fun. I know sometimes, fun and safe don't run in the same sentence, but for me it does. Have a safe and fun holiday weekend. And last but certainly not least, I'd like to thank everybody, A, for listening, but B, Roberto Beauchesne, our producer director, always puts on a good show. We will not be having a Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business show this weekend on 97.1 FM. We're taking the holiday weekend off, but I want to thank all our listeners and all our viewers. We are Facebook Live. Go to capitalmortgagefunding.com or lowrateonline.com. You can view our show every weekend on our Facebook Live feed. And also you can listen to the podcast wherever Roberto puts it up on all the podcast sites. So if you can't fall asleep at night and you want to fall asleep, listen to the podcast. We always do a good job of putting people to sleep. But for Lisa Lawson, John Kolb, Harvey Freed, myself, and our producer director, Roberto Beauchesne, thank you, everybody, and we'll see you soon.